YouTube, we already know that ultra rare cards are good in Master Duel. We know you should build towards triple Ash Blossom, triple Max C, double Call by the Grave, possibly impermanence also with droplets, maybe even a Lightning Storm. You're going to want Zeus from any decks, Access Code Talker. We know that, but we may not be able to do that on the first day. Should I think you should build Ash Blossom, Max C, and Call by the Grave before the core cards of a deck? No. That's like wearing an expensive hat and you're no clothes, you're naked. Don't do that. Don't buy the jewelry before buying the clothes to wear, then you can put the jewelry on, okay? So I'm gonna help you with the most powerful free cards, the cheap cards that are not ultra rare, to put in your deck before you have Ash Blossom, before you have Max C. You should have at least one from the bundle before you have your Called by the Grave, before you have your Impermanence, before you have even your Droplet. Lightning Storm is a bundle. But what are the most powerful cards? Let's get right into it.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at him. Let's go.
And here we go. We got a list, and I'll tell you what's good about this list. Again, these are cards that you could use up until you have your 3 Ash, your 3 Max, your 2 Call by the Grave. I'm going to do a big shout out for Ash Blossom. Get one from the bundle, at least one. The Lightning Storm, get it from the bundle, at least one. And the Solemn Judgment. Judgment could be good, at least one. Now, if you don't want to waste money or gems on the bundles and you just want the Ash Blossom, that's fine. So otherwise, if you want to use your SR or lower crafting points to build cards until you have the good stuff, then you're good. So what do I mean by core versus the extra cards? People call these staples, but they're not staples. Staples means you need them in your deck. You don't need them. You will want, for example, let's look at Sky Striker. You look up a deck and we open it up on the deck type breakdown. When you open up Sky Striker, you know that even though Ash Blossom's at 3 at 91%, you don't need it for the deck to function. What you need for your deck to function that are ultra rare cards in this deck, you need to engage. More important than Maxi, more important than Call by the Grave, you need a Kagari. So your 1 Kagari and your 2 engage are way more important than Maxi and Ash Blossom. Then I would argue that grabbing at least 1 Veiler plus 1 Access Code Talker plus 1 Selene and 1 Hulk still more important than your Ash Blossom and your Maxi. Now, by the time you have all those ultra rare cards, you're not going to have enough crafting resources for the Ash Blossom, Maxi, and Call by the Grave until later when you play the game more. So these are the cards that you want until you have the Ash Blossom, until you have the Maxi, until you have the Call by the Grave, until you have the Impermanence. This is it. Starting off with Droll in Lockbird. This is a very good card to have when you do not have your Maxi or Ash Blossom yet. When your opponent adds a card from their main deck to their hand, except by drawing in the draw phase, that's the last time they get to do it. That's it. So if you look at the tier list, if you were to use this against them, against Zodiac Tri-Brigade, they're normally going to add a card with the Nerval and then, or add with Tenki. If they add with Tenki, you drop the Droll and Lockbird, they're screwed. They can't add with Nerval. They can't add with the Bear Brum, their Revolt. That's one of their main plays. So as soon as they add, they're done. I'll give you one other deck. We have Drytron. Drytron, if they add from the deck to the hand and you Droll and Lockbird them, they're done. They lose. If they don't negate it with their Herald of Orange Light, then they're going to lose. So Droll and Lockbird, just a super rare, easy to build, very good, highly recommended. Let's go back to the other free-to-play cards. Gamma. Holy moly, this card is great, but do understand the biggest restriction. The biggest restriction with this is you can only use this if you do not control a monster. Let me read that. While you control no monsters. That's the most important thing. So during your opponent's turn, if they make a monster effect play or you activate a spell or trap or a monster effect in the hand before you control a monster, if they activate their Ash Blossom, their Max C, you can negate and destroy them even on your turn before you control a monster. This is insane. If they try to use an effect on you like Max C and you use Gamma, Gamma's going to summon a driver from your deck, and what's going to happen is if you can make a level 8 synchro, like in Dragon Link, You could make a Boral load Savage Dragon right away, but that's not good because you don't have a Link monster. Even better is the Chaos Ruler. If you have a good level 8 Synchro, you could make it right away because this is a level 2 tuner. It summons a level 6 non-tuner from your deck. Level 8 Synchro, bam. That's a really cool card. Very good card. Negate and destroy a monster effect. Only if you control no monsters. Now on to the next card. The Allure of Darkness, Pot of D, Pot of D, another D, Duality, Pot of E, and Pot of P. These are all combined in one. You're going to just want to know which one to use in your deck. It's very simple. So if I'm going to open up all the pots, if you want to play Allure of Darkness, then you're playing Thunder Dragon, Black Wings, Danger Thunder Dragon deck, Triple D, Orchist, maybe it's 63% are not using it. Those are decks, and if you wanted to learn on how to build those decks like Black Wings, just click on the deck type, see how it's built. This is objective stats on people reaching Plat 1 or topping tournaments. This is not topping tournaments, okay? So there's no tournaments, but Plat 1, this is how you would build it. They love Allure of Darkness, only 33% are not playing it. That's how you know. Now, Pot of D. Who plays Pot of D? Banish 10, draw 2 off the top of your deck. If your deck requires a certain card that you want to search or send to the graveyard, if you randomly banish that card and it screws your whole strategy, then you're not going to play Pot of D. You can't just put Pot of D in every deck because it will screw your deck. Well, Zodiac Tri-Brigade, they don't care if a little bit of their deck gets screwed up. They're still going to make great plays. Virtual World, Lyra Lush Tri-Brigade, not so much. See, they don't want that as much. They don't want as much. So not a lot of decks could really use it, but the most popular ones being the Zodiac Tri-Brigade, Virtual World Zodiac, and the Sky Striker. Here's a Virtual World deck type where 85% are playing it at 3. And then you could see a sample deck of someone getting first place in a mini tournament where they're playing 3. Very good. Now moving on to Pot of Duality. This one will look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand. You cannot special summon for the rest of the turn, or that entire turn, I should say. True Draco likes it. Subterror. Eldlich is 96% not playing it, so this one is a rare pot. You're not really going to use this as much. Pot of E. This is pot of toxic decks because you randomly banish from your extra deck instead of randomly banishing from the deck with Pot of D. That means you're playing a deck that doesn't really use the extra deck, which means you're a toxic deck, right? Well, Eldlich, they like it. A lot of them like it a lot. 77% use the Pot of E, randomly banish from the extra to draw 2. Subterror really like it. I want to learn Subterror. Altergeist, love it. They love it. Draw 2. Instead of banishing from the deck with Pot of D, banish from the extra, draw 2. And this is my favorite pot that's coming up. Pot of P. It says Pot of Disparity, but it's Pot of P. This is my favorite pot. I would put this pot in almost every deck. It helps you dig 6 cards deep into your deck, and you could still special summon. The Pot of Duality used to be my favorite card back in the day. Look at the top 3, add 1, but then I can't special summon. Not cool, or you can't special summon that turn. Pot of P, the biggest downside is if you're an aggressive deck that wants to win on turn 2, you can't win turn 2 with this because any damage your opponent takes is halved. You're going to banish 3 or 6 cards from your extra deck, but you know which ones to banish. So you're going to banish the cards that you don't really need as much. Dig 6 cards deep. Grab a really good card that starts your whole combo. Maybe a 1-card combo deck is very good with this. Another downside is you cannot draw cards by effects the turn you activate this. So if you happen to Pot of P, and then your opponent special summons on your turn, you chain Max C, you're not drawing a Max C. You're not going to be able to draw with Upstart Goblin if you use this in Sky Striker, but still, I liked it in Sky Striker for some moments. Invoked. All they need is Invoker, right? 1-card combo. 1-card combo. Dinos, the Overraptor, that's going to be good. So the Invoked is the 1-card combo you dig for. They love the Pot of P. Pot of P, only 29% are not playing it. You grab Invoker, you win. That's it. That's why they play it. So that's the pots. Now let's go back to more top free cards. Chalice. This card's good. Is it as good as Droplet? No, but do some people play it over Droplet sometimes? Maybe. Maybe some people play 2 Droplet, 1 Chalice, or 3 Droplet and another Chalice. Before you have the Droplet, which if you want to know what the Droplet is nuts. It will negate your opponent's field. It allows you to play the game. This kind of does it for free. You don't have to discard a card. You don't have to tribute a card. Target a face-up monster. Straight up, just negate it. Negate it. It's a rare. If you have empty space in your deck after you're done building, put in the Chalice. Why not? It's the best one. I think so. The next best card among these, I would say evenly matched. Holy crap. On the ladder, if you have room for this, do you want to play this? Because if your opponent sets up a bunch of monsters or a bunch of back row, that's what's great about this. It doesn't care if your opponent plays back row only or only monsters. So if you're playing a card like Max C and the opponent's deck doesn't really special summon, this is a dead card. This becomes a dead card if you set up before your opponent. But if you go second, this is an auto win. You're going to enter the battle phase, then at the end of the battle phase, it will automatically prompt you. You don't need your toggle on. This will banish all of your opponent's cards but one. They get to choose one card to keep. So if you're playing against Eldlich and they have 5 back row, banish 4 back row, keep 1. They're going to keep up the skill drain, and they can't Imperial Order negate this. Insane. I'm going to play a bunch of duels with 3 of these. Insane. My next favorite card out of these, Twin Twister. I mean, you know. If you want this, if you hate back row, if your deck has synergy with a card being in the graveyard, you could discard a card, target 2. So let's see what decks have synergy with the Twin Twister. It is a super rare. It's anti-back row. The most popular decks using it looks like Phantom Knights are 50% are using it because they have a bunch of graveyard effects. Prank Kids like using it. Their Prank Kids could be in the graveyard. You add them back. That's great. A pure Tri-Brigade could use it. Those are going to be the most popular top decks that are using it. Here are some people using it. There you go. Oh, he's using it in the side deck, so that don't really count. It's mainly a side deck card, and it is comparable to Mystical Space Typhoon. Y'all know about MST. A big debate on whether it negates or not. I say it, you know what I know about this card. Pop back row. Cosmic Cyclone's also very good. If you have room, throw in MST. If you have extra super rare resource, throw in some Cosmics or Twin Twisters if you want. But it's more a special take if you want that. Let's go back to the more generic, good against pretty much any deck. And my favorite card among these is going to be the Lost Wind and the Torrential together. I'm going to put them together because I love them both. Lost Wind. Holy crap. Do you play against a deck that special summons? They all special summon, okay? You're not only going to negate its effects, that's monster that's special summoned, its original attack is halved. Now, how long is it halved for? Forever. Forever, ever. It's halved forever. And it's also negated forever. Forever negated, forever halved. And if your opponent summons a monster from the extra deck, you get to set this from the graveyard again. Double use, negate, they special summon, set it again. You can't use the turn it's sent, of course, but you got a double special summon negate in half the monster forever. That is insane. And then Torrential is nuts. When a monster summoned, that includes your own monster. If your opponent has a big fat field and you're able to set up with Torrential and then another turn you're able to, summon a monster, flip up your Torrential. Or your opponent's going to fall for this. This is kind of like a Nibiru. Back in the day, we didn't have Nibiru, okay? We all jumped and screamed for getting big Torrential tributed. That was the big card. It was a lot more skillful to use than Nibiru because Nibiru doesn't have to be used on a summon. If you had to use Nibiru on a summon, it would be so much harder to use. You pretty much know to just use it at the end of the main phase before they end their main phase unless they're going to summon a monster that negates it. Torrential, boy, when you hit him with that fat Torrential, wipe the whole field, it's amazing. It's just such a great card. And we saw it in tournaments being used against top players because it's not expected. That's what makes it even better. Blow people out with Torrential. Torrential Tribute, evenly matched, could just straight up win the game. They're scooping, they're gone. You want easy wins? Then Torrential is going to be good for free. And then other cards that are not going to be instant wins, instant win with evenly matched, instant win with a good Torrential. Compulse. Your own monster, their monster, return it back to the hand. Paleozoic, Dino, Mischievous. Discard a card, banish a card in the fields. Now, it's kind of like Karma Cut. Karma Cut's only a face-up monster. This is a face-up spell, trap, or monster. So if your opponent were to activate something like Tenki, if you want to negate the Tenki, you could discard a card, banish the Tenki on its activation. It won't search. Not a good use of it, but this is also, you hate skill drain? Use this, okay? You don't want to use MST maybe because maybe it's not going to be good against decks that have no back row. Well, this is back row and monster. If they have a skill drain or Imperial Order like Eldlich does, this card's good. Stop complaining that you are copying the best decks and putting in max Cs and then they flip up a skill drain on you and then you lose. That's not, you know, you have to adapt, and this is a good way to adapt. Evenly matched and the Dino Mistress to counter Eldlich. Why am I focused on Eldlich? They're the most hated deck right now, straight up. So any advice I could give to beat Eldlich on the ladder, you either join them or you beat them. This is the deck to beat or play on the ladder for easy wins, all right? And because of skill drain, just straight up negating. And this is not a part of this video, but I'm going to toss this in, okay? I'm going to give you a hidden gem that counters this deck very well. Besides Call by the Grave, we already know that's very good. The Dino Wrestler, this is a hidden gem. It is an ultra rare. I don't think you should craft it over the Maxi, everything else. But, you know, if you just want to maybe get lucky pull from the pack, I can't even advise that. If you just have this, this card's great. Tribute itself, pop the skill drain, pop an Imperial Order, but now we're no longer talking about free-to-play cards. This is maybe kind of like a pay-to-lose fun card. Good card, though. Now, that's it. Those are the free cards. I don't want to make the video too long. It probably already is. Thank you very much. Let me know if you like this. I'm trying my best to keep videos short. If I miss something, let me know. Chat real quick. What are some examples of cards? I'll give you 2 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Kaiju. They were saying Skullmeister. Ice Dragon Prison. D's Nuts. Cosmic Cyclone.
Your mom!
Your mom. All right, this video's done. Let's go.